It's time to mind your business with me, Jamillah Lodge. Tune in to find out how to mind your business with BEDC, special guest entrepreneurs, industry experts, and more. Brought to you by BEDC. Bermuda Business starts here. To mind your business, I'm excited to have Cameron Smith. You are managing director and co-founder of Greenlight Energy.
Yes, thank you for having me.
Great to have you here. So we're going to talk a little bit about your journey as an entrepreneur. Before we do that, can you just introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yep, sure. So my name's Cameron Smith. I am the co-founder and managing director of Greenlight Energy, as you said. I grew up in Bermuda. I went to Gilbert, then Warwick, spent some time at Bermuda College before heading over to university in Connecticut. Okay. After that, I did a very brief stint in the reinsurance industry. And when I say brief, I mean very brief. I lasted about 4 months. It wasn't for me. You know, we all have our strengths and weaknesses.
Yeah, of course.
Then after that, I ended up in London working at a tech startup for a bit.
Okay.
And that was much more up my alley than the corporate world in Bermuda. From there, I really kind of found my legs and decided, as a matter of fact, I did want to do something entrepreneurial. And that's when I moved back to start Greenlight with a group of friends.
Okay, cool. So, yeah. I mean, what made you pick this business in this industry? Like, of all the things, right? What drew you to this industry?
It was honestly kind of just happenstance. So at the time, there was a lot of news in Bermuda about the acquisition of Belco, and it was being purchased by a Canadian company. And at the time, I was young and naive, and I was like, you know, we could do energy. Energy should be Bermudian, and all that sort of stuff. So we went from there to doing solar, and then figuring out a business plan around it. And then we ended up doing solar panel installations and energy storage in Bermuda.
Now, in my mind, like when I think of solar energy, I know it's great, but I just think about the cost. And I'm like, okay, everybody should have solar panels, but there's a reason that everybody doesn't. Yeah. So when you were considering this, like what was that capital outlay, I would say, initially when you guys got started? How did you do that?
So we were our original business model was the no upfront cost installation of solar panels.
Yeah.
So that was our claim to fame. So we would do a solar panel installation at absolutely no upfront cost, and we'd split the savings with you that you would have got if you had purchased the system outright.
Okay.
And then as time went on, COVID happened, and then we had to pivot slightly to the outright purchase of solar panels, which actually wasn't that bad considering every bank in Bermuda offers some type of green product financing at very attractive rates. So it all worked out in the end.
Okay. Well, that's good because I mean, I think it's wonderful to have that as an alternative, and it looks like you guys are doing great.
We're doing okay. Yeah, we're doing all right.
Wonderful, humbleness. No, but you always have to say humble. But I do think that it's interesting. Like you said, your initial business model is like no cost down installation. Who does that, especially in Bermuda? Because it's like if you don't have the money, you're not getting the service.
Well, strangely enough, it's pretty popular around the world. So in the States, there's this company called Sunrun, who we got a lot of inspiration from in our business model.
Okay.
So it's been done before. Obviously, doing it well requires significant access to capital. And yeah, we're working on the financing side. We did a bunch, and we hope to do some more. We just gotta find the right investors.
Yes. Okay. So that's kind of how you did it. In terms of your own financing for your business, you did it through investment as opposed to debt.
So it was both. It was equity and debt investment.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can you talk a little bit about that as an entrepreneur? Because I know for us, you know, at BDC, we give microloans and things like that. But I know that in some scenarios for startups, debt is not always the best way to get started, right?
Yeah.
So for your own business and what you did, what was your goal? Like, did you have your mix already, or did you just take what you can get, basically?
So I think having debt is risky, right?
Yeah.
If something goes to zero, at the end of the day, you are left with a liability that must be paid. So when you take on significant debt, you could end up in the hole for years to come.
I just wanted to get a sense from you about what worked for you, because it doesn't work for everybody. And if you didn't do that part and somebody else do that part, then you could say that too.
So we have a sales company and a financing company. The initial seed capital was used with equity, and then we used debt to scale the business, but it's hard to explain in simple terms.
Well, you just said it.
No, I did, but it's very...
So when you came up with that structure, did you already know that's what you wanted to do, or how did you arrive at the decision to build the business that way, or build your business model that way? Like, what kind of conversations did you have with your partners?
Well, the financing business is just like how a bank finances. You borrow X and lend at Y. So that's how we scale that's how the financing business should be scaled.
Okay.
However, that's not blanket advice. That doesn't apply to most businesses.
No.
Financial services using debt to scale makes a lot of sense. However, for businesses outside of the financing sector, probably wouldn't make sense. That's why I'm being so hesitant to answer.
Right. I understand. I mean, it worked for your business, but it's not necessarily going to work for everyone. But we're having a conversation about your business.
I know. I still want to be like, and Cam said on the podcast, you use debt to scale because debt is cheaper than equity. I wasn't trying to...
It is not. We know that is not always true. But whatever it is working for you. But can you talk a little bit more about like what types of services you offer?
Sure. So what we do is install solar panels. So we have high-powered solar panels from Meyer Burger. As well as the roof white solar panels, which we just introduced to the market this year.
Yeah, I think that's really cool. Like, I didn't even know that was a thing. And I was like, that makes perfect sense. It blends right into the roof.
Yeah, exactly. So we were finding a lot of people were saying they didn't want solar panels on the front of their house because they don't like the aesthetic, because they want to protect the traditional look of a Bermuda cottage. And historically, how we as solar installers have handled that is we have just not installed solar panels at the front of the house and tried to find more discrete places to put them. However, having the white solar panels increases the available square footage of the potential mounting locations for solar, which results in an increased power capacity of the system and ultimately more energy being produced over time.
Yeah, because I know I was looking into helping my mom get solar panels, and depending on where they place it on the roof, right? It's like maximum capacity versus not maximum. And if you might have to put more in if you're not putting them where the sun, comes down the most, I guess you could say.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's really cool. So did you have to get these white solar panels produced, or they were already on the market? We just didn't know about it.
It's more of the latter. So in certain European countries, so Greece specifically, they were using white solar panels for some of their historic buildings. So they were being manufactured for historic building over in Greece.
Okay.
However, I reached out to the company that was doing it and asked if they would do it for Bermuda white roofs as well. And they're obviously happy to expand into a new market. So then we started working with them as well.
That is awesome. Well done.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
All those people were like, nah, I don't like the way it looks. You were like, we got a solution for you.
Yeah, that's right. Exactly. Since this podcast is a lot about business and innovation and things, I think being flexible and seeing as problems in a new and creative way leads to new and creative solutions, such as the white solar panels. Instead of being, we're just going to put them somewhere else. There might be another solution that works just as well, and you should be always kind of striving to make the client happy and give different offerings to the customer. And I think that's what makes people happy ultimately.
For sure. So in addition to the white solar panels,
yes,
tell me about these Tesla batteries. Like, what is that and how do you use them?
I would love to. So last week we had a little team party for installing 1 megawatt hour of energy storage on the island. And to translate that, we installed a lot of energy storage in Bermuda.
Right.
Which is really cool. So what the Tesla Powerwall does is it captures any excess production from the solar panels for it to be stored, to be used in evenings or during off-grid situations.
Like in a hurricane.
Exactly. So a lot of people have the question, so it's during the day, I'm producing all this power, but I come home, it's winter and it's in the evening and I turn on my heater or whatever, but there's no sunlight. So I'm not even powering the house with the solar panels. It doesn't make sense. And that was a common complaint and a valid one. So there are manufacturers such as Tesla who saw this challenge in the market and came to bat, and they introduced the Tesla Powerwall 2, which will store that power and make it accessible at any time during the day, which I think is a great innovation.
Yeah, I think it's great. I mean, when you think about it, especially for us, we do know what it's like to not have power for a period of time after a hurricane. Yeah. And so if this is an alternative to that loud generator, you know what I mean? It's like you can create your own power and store it.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this question. Do we, you know, how in some countries you can sell power back to the electric company? Do we do that here?
Yes, we do. So we sell the energy back to the utility at 22.65 cents per kilowatt hour. But the issue with that is then we then buy it back from the utility at around 51 cents.
Oh, okay. So you were saying it's pretty much 50 cents?
It's about 50 cents on the dollar compared to what you sell to the grid at and what you buy from the grid at.
Okay. All right. Yeah. All right. Well, I mean, that's a cool thing. Now, each individual who has the Tesla battery installed can sell it back to the grid, or do we sell it to you and you then sell it back to the utility?
No. So how it works is the energy flow is going to start at the solar panels, then go to the loads in the house.
Okay.
And then between the utility and the loads in the house, there will be this power wall that's going to be charging until it gets to full capacity, and then it will be exported. So what the Powerwall aims to do is have more of the energy that is produced be used on site rather than sold back to the grid at some type of, at a spread where the utility is benefiting from your power because they're buying it for 22 cents and selling it to the next guy for 51.
Right.
So this Tesla Powerwall aims to keep more of the energy that's produced on site. So you see the full economic benefit of the solar panels.
Which makes sense. Which makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's talk a little bit about price, because I'm a consumer too. I have a home.
Yeah.
And solar is very attractive to me, but I have to wrap my mind around the economics of it all. Sure. So can you talk to us a little bit about what a typical, let's say, installation could cost and how you can kind of manage that?
Sure. So the price, it's going to depend highly on the number of solar panels, the complexity of the installation, as well as if you get energy storage. Typically, the prices range from a small system about $15,000. Okay. And the big ones can get very expensive. So
right.
To the hundreds of thousands.
Right, right.
So it just depends on what you're looking for. Now, the solar panels are unique to the Tesla Powerwall because they offer a return on investment. Mm-hmm. So the idea when you buy solar panels is ultimately you will see that cash come back into your pocket. They generate savings over their useful life. Energy storage, as it currently stands, doesn't generate a big return on investment. So the solar panels you use for an economic benefit, and the power walls are more of a creature comfort. They're a renewable energy generator. Mm-hmm. And a lot of people have the sentiment that they just don't like the idea of selling something, a unit of energy at noon for 25 cents, and then buying it back in the evening at 50.
Right.
So some people make the purchase based on principle rather than economic benefit, but each is it.
Now you mentioned useful life. What is the useful life of solar panels, and how do you maintain? What's that process like?
That's a great question. So the maintenance on solar panels in Bermuda is extremely slight.
Okay.
The reason why, at least part of the reasons why I believe solar is so perfect for Bermuda is because we have a highly corrosive environment, and solar panels have no moving parts, which means there's not really anything to break. They're bolted down onto the roof extremely well, rated for, category 5 hurricanes. They're at a tilt angle, which means that, it doesn't make them entirely self-cleaning, but lends the self-cleaning function. So when the rain hits the solar panels, they're at a tilt angle, it washes them off.
Okay.
Yeah, so anything over about 10 degrees, the solar panels are self-cleaning, which is just great because our roofs are, between 20 and 40 degrees.
Right.
So we just by happenstance have brilliant roof real estate for solar. It's just perfectly conducive for solar.
And then the perfect business to start.
Yeah. Well, it turned out that way. At the time, I didn't realize, but now I realize how lucky we all are. And then as far as the lifespan, typically the solar panels we use will be warranted for 25 years. With an expected useful life of anywhere between 30 and 40.
That's great.
Yeah, it's fantastic. There's, again, no moving parts, nothing to brush up against anything, nothing to corrode. It just works well, yeah.
So, in Bermuda, we have to clean our roofs on occasion, every 5 to 10 years. Yeah. How does that impact them at all, or?
So typically people paint around the solar panels once every painting cycle or two.
Okay.
And then if you ever wanted to take them off, it's really easy. Any DIY guy could do it. So you actually just take off the solar panels and you leave the racking. And the bolts, you leave all of that in, and all you do is take off the physical panel. And you can take off a panel in about 2 minutes. So it doesn't even add that much labor or time or anything to a roof painting.
Well, it sounds like a no-brainer to me. I'm like, why we don't all have solar panels? The people at Belco will be mad. They'd be like, wait.
Yeah, you're right. Actually, since being that they buy the excess power back at 22 cents, they might be thrilled.
They might be all right. They might be like, yes.
Yeah, exactly.
So I want to talk to you a little bit about some of the challenges that you encountered when you initially started the business, and what did you do? How did you resolve them?
Cool. So let's think about the bigger challenges that we face. So the biggest one was our business model was seen as contentious by the watchdog in the energy sector. We didn't see eye to eye, and we were at a fundamental disagreement on the interpretation of the Electricity Act of 2016. How did we handle that? Lawyers and tenacity.
Yeah.
So yeah, we lawyered up and defended our position essentially. And a year later, or 18 months after the fact, we got a letter to say that our business model wasn't in breach of the Electricity Act. So that was probably our biggest brick wall, was having a large institution threaten us. And deem our business illegal, essentially.
Well, I mean, I feel like, a lot of times there's a lot of kind of protectionist laws and stuff in place. And I think it makes it very difficult for some businesses, especially in certain industries, where it's been like a monopoly, even if it wasn't on purpose. Yeah. It's just the barrier to entry is so high to get into that industry. It's like people are like, yeah, never mind. But I'm glad you guys had the presence of mind to stay it through, because at the end of the day, everybody benefits, right? Yeah,
no, it's true. And honestly, that was youthful ignorance. Like, had I gone back and had to make that decision today, I think we were a little bit foolish in our position.
Really?
Yes, that was nuts. I still go by the regulator's office and look at it sometimes, and like they were huge. And you should have seen our office. We had no business making that challenge, but it worked out luckily.
Yeah, I'm glad you did though, because I feel like it is not just a lesson, but it's proof that not it doesn't matter. The size doesn't mean you're always right. Right.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
you can't keep doing the same things that you've done all these years just because that's what you've done. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think on both sides, there was learning, because I'm sure from their standpoint, they were afraid, which is why they did it. Right. They're like, oh no, you're not going to come in here and take a piece of this pie. So let's put a stop to that and use the laws to do it. When in reality, it was not illegal. Right. And number two, like, really, are you worse for wear for having this new business and this new company started? No, I think everybody in the long run is better off. And I really do think that in general, entrepreneurship in Bermuda can benefit from that sort of thing. It needs a bit of a shakeup, because even though we're so small, things can be done differently. Different is good.
No, I agree. And you saying this reminds me of a town hall that I went to like a year and a half or maybe 2 years ago. And I think it was Colonel Birch who was speaking. And regardless of politics, he had something that really resonated with me at the time. He was like, Bermuda historically is just a country of no. No matter what it is that you're asking, the answer is no. No matter how high up you go, the answer is no. And I have experienced that a lot. And it was good to hear that someone who a lot more experience in dealing with business and politics in Bermuda had the same experience and recognized that it was an issue and it's something that needs to be addressed.
Yeah, I would definitely agree. And I feel like the whole mindset behind entrepreneurship and starting a business is that you guys don't live in that space. That's why you did it, right? Because you were like, what you mean, no?
It didn't make sense. I don't
understand. It's not computing.
It couldn't understand it for the life of them.
No, and good on you for staying the course. So, sometimes once you say that naivete, youthful naivete.
Exactly.
This is the thing you need when you want to start this. So, okay, we talked about your business. Now, if people are interested, which I'm sure they will be after hearing this, how could they contact you? What should they do? What's the process?
Sure. So if anyone's interested in getting a quote for solar panels or the Tesla Powerwall or the roof white panels, they can go onto our website and submit a contact request form. It's just in the contact us section on the top right-hand side of the page. Alternatively, you can email info@greenlightenergy.bm.
Okay.
Or give us a call on 295-3033, or just pop in sometime. We're on Sperling Hill. We have a wicked mural that we just put up on the wall, so you know.
I saw that. It looks nice.
Yeah, I appreciate it. So shout out to Ashante who did that for us.
All right.
So yeah, just if you're interested in getting in touch, there's 101 ways, and we look forward to hearing from you.
And your website is greenlightenergy.bm?
Yes, ma'am. So you could greenlightenergy.bm, or you could Google Greenlight Energy Bermuda.
And you guys will come up, all your cute little videos.
Yeah, exactly.
Before I go, two things. Like, I wanted to talk to you a little bit about how you market and how you reach your customer base. Like, how do you? I mean, because I think from what I've seen, it's been really cool and fun. Well, you guys are all young, so I guess that makes sense. But how do you do it? What's your plan of attack?
So honestly, the marketing side of the business is probably my favorite. And we work with just talented people who like, I think, having young and kind of out of the box ideas and a different approach to marketing on the island. So we work with Uber's Super Duper, amazing ad agency, and they help bring all my quirky ideas to life. And then we also work with a young lady named Rachel Petty, who I've actually known for almost 20 years now.
Wow.
Yeah. And she just went off on her own to do her own marketing agency, and we were the first client. And she's absolutely amazing and brings, again, all these ideas to life. Honestly, marketing is the fun side of business. It's where you get to talk about the what you're working on and talk about your products and have fun giveaways and work with the local artists and just kind of communicate your vision and your offering to the community, which is, I just enjoy it. It's just a lot of
Yeah,
fun.
and we can tell. I mean, it's evident in the results of what you actually put out there. But for me, like energy, which historically has been like old and stuffy, and you just be mad every time you get your bill every month. You just angry. And I think with you and your co-founders and colleagues, you brought like a new fresh energy, dare I say.
Hey,
pun intended.
Nice pun. I like that.
to it. So I think it makes it a little bit more accessible. Like whereas previously the idea of solar panels, like I said, you're just like, okay, yeah, that's way out of my price range. That's not something I can consider. But I think you guys have brought it down and made it more accessible. And people are like, oh, I can do that. There is a way I can actually get it done and get a return on that investment.
Yeah, exactly. And even if today you're not buying solar panels, a lot of our ads are, they're for younger people who aren't necessarily buying solar panels. We're raising awareness and we're educating the market, and maybe 10 years from now they are a potential customer.
Yes.
But I think that having fun with marketing and raising brand awareness is just as important as the sales pitch marketing.
Yes, of course.
So yeah, exactly. Having a lot of fun doing marketing, I think, just pays dividends, and not taking the marketing side too seriously, but taking the business very seriously. I think that combination works very well together.
Well, you guys are doing a great job at it, and I would like you to leave us, because that was quick, right? We're at 30 minutes already.
Oh yeah.
But I would like for you to share with me your words of wisdom, tips even, or advice for someone who is considering entrepreneurship, especially in that you took on like the behemoths in the utility or energy space. Like, what would you do, or what would you say to encourage someone to consider it?
Honestly, that is a great question. I don't really see me as someone who's in a position to give advice. So I think my advice would be find people who you respect and ask them a lot of questions. Okay. You don't necessarily have to do what people suggest. However, getting a lot of information, digesting it yourself and getting an understanding of all the moving parts, I think is just a great way of making any decision, whether it's should you be an entrepreneur or should you take another job, or whatever life decision you have to make. I think talking to people and understanding their viewpoints is just valuable.
And that was great advice from someone who says,
I don't know, that's all I've got.
It was like, listen, and you don't have to know everything. You don't have to have been around forever. But to me, learning is like a continual thing, and you never know who you're going to learn from, right? Yeah. Because your experience is different from mine, is different from someone else. And if you can tell me something that can help me avoid something along the way, then, who's to say it's not right?
No, exactly. Like I ask ridiculous questions to people who I trust, who have been through or have gone down the path that I hope to go down. And I will ask them to repeat themselves and ask for clarifying communication. And I think it served me well. So I hope it would serve other people well as well.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Cameron. I really appreciate you taking the time to chat with me. And I look forward to seeing you guys and seeing what the next, iteration of Greenlight Energy is. For me personally, as a consumer, I will be having a conversation with my husband.
Okay. Love to hear
about this, because I think it's a great idea. It makes perfect sense. Especially since we live in a country where hurricanes happen, we lose power on occasion, and to be able to have that kind of peace of mind and comfort knowing that you do have some way to access power when you need it, to me, I think it's awesome. So great job.
I really appreciate it. And thank you for taking the interest in Greenlight Energy. And I hope you see lots more of our signs and lots more of our ads, and they make you happy and they bring a smile to your face.
They do. Every time I see them, I'm like, these guys are on it.
I really appreciate it. I'm sure we'll talk soon.
All right. Take care.
All right. Talk to you
All right.
later.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for tuning in to Mind Your Business with me, your host, Jamillah Lodge. Tune in next week, Thursday at 4 p.m. because if you don't mind your business, who will? Mind Your Business is brought to you by BEDC. Bermuda Business starts here.